ancestral strength. Winter glimmers before me, lonely, shoulder down, hip angled. I am parked my grandpa who waited for first snowfall before leaving Willow Creek. Parked my mother who helped push her father's car from snow-covered red dirt ditches. Parked my grandma living snowbound in pine country. Parked my father who walked the miles to town, sledding food back to grandma's cabin. Winter draws its shawl about us. Salmon's fall run has faded, acorns have dropped, and mushrooms have found light. I look into winter and know that no frost can freeze the spirit. No 1,000 winters of ice could extinguish the flaming heart of my people. And I will follow up with a poem about my father. And you never know, you send things out and then editors are like, hey, that's great, and got a lot of mileage off this one. Lesson in fire. My father built a good fire. He taught me to tend the fire, how to make it stand so it could breathe, and how the flames create coals that turn into faces or eyes of fish swimming out of flames into gray rivers of ash, and how the eyes and faces look out at us, burn up for us, to heat the air that we breathe, and so into us we swallow all the shapes created in a well-tended fire. And my father would always say, you need to have fire on you, like in your purse, in your car. And we had a friend from Louisiana who had never been around natives, and he was like, why? And my father was like, because it'll keep you alive. Now that's a good reason. Pepperwood wind. Dancer of strength, keeper of spirit. Your net woven from the womb of the oldest woman. Shaker of song, breath of wind, born of sun, leaf scent company in the house of the grieving widow. Kept in the kitchen 4 seasons until the spirit became sun and wind, clouds and moon. I read this poem in Southern California after they had a big fire, and a woman came up to me and said it made her cry because this had kind of happened to her after the fire. They had some slides and were concerned about that up in Mendocino and Lake County. Rain Belief. Swollen sky, sing us some rain. Sway oak arms, shed your blue clothing, let free your moist flesh flung against bone windows. Flaunt your sleek body, fly above thirsty dreams, fall into my parched canyon throat, fill my river up, fool me into thinking wetness is enough. Watch me flood myself, feed the memory, melt mountains, make mud. Salmon flesh beneath moon, a feast is near. That fish in night sky, going up river, heading home, this acorn time names his journey, calls him back to beginnings, called back to a soft circle belly, flaming red fire, flesh feeding an October night flight of fish across a frozen sky with skin of stars. I have seen that same star-colored salmon flickering in another river not named Sky, but not far from here. Several nights back, I stopped at that river, and moon gave streaks cut by fish, splitting a silver ribbon of water, which was, on that particular night, a lean woman body swaying and dancing the river motion beneath moon. Night River. She sat on the edge of his firm bed, the midnight hour several blinks away, his breathing, her silence, the digital clock hum and glow. She fears he or the silence might ask, "Why are you going? Why can't you stay?" She searches short and quick to cock her response. She searches for her sock. He says nothing and breathes deeply. She feels each breath calling her back. His fingers reach her back before he speaks into thick darkness. "You have too much love to contain," he says, "too much heart to keep to yourself, so why hide?" She trembles, knowing that every nerve ending in his each fingertip feels her backbone shaking as his words fall off North Bay air. It is neither foreplay nor the ember of afterglow. His fingers recede into palm, into arm, into his own heart. And she summons the courage to breathe these words into sound. My love is a wild river. It can be brutal and beautiful. My love is a colored river, green and inviting, muddy and unrelenting. His words both dazzle and startle her. She is frightened. She must flee. She puts her lips on his one more time. He knows the chances of her returning are as slim as the road leading from his house. It was an after midnight flight, escape from her own heart, the pulse of truth. She knows this as she slopes up the freeway north to a cooler and shadowy country. She cries to stars who listen and leave their own moisture as proof of night. It was a night-given song about the color of a salmon's heart when it is carried as burden and stored in a worn willow basket held between the blades of her shoulders. She speaks her thanks as night deepens and comforts the heart journey back. Thank you. I wanted to read a poem. When I first, people were talking about coming out as a poet. When I first started reading, I was always quoted as being a Pomo woman because I live in Pomo territory, pardon me, and I was with a Pomo man for many years. Well, once you give a story, you can't take it back. So he could have, when he left, he could have the good car, but I got to keep the stories. And this was one of them. Maybe they couldn't make the shoe fit the foot for Clara and those who waited. Bring some shoes to the rancheria. They never did. No, all the people waited though. His grandma remembered they all washed their feet that day. The man was coming all the way from Sacramento. They waited and waited. Finally he came, but he didn't bring no shoes. He took some paper and measured their feet, got their sizes, and said he would bring shoes back. And all the Indian people were glad because they didn't have no shoes. They waited and waited. He never did return. Phil's grandma would laugh, remembering the story of the white man bending at the feet of old Indian women who had never before worn white man's shoes. They wondered what he thought. There was something about how he would measure the foot, then write it down and look up at them as if to say, what odd and ugly feet. The old woman's laughter is our own as we speak. Maybe they didn't know how to make shoes to fit Indian feet, or maybe the sight of their feet frightened him away. Thank you. Thank you. The other night was the full moon, but it was covered up by rain. My father always remembered the 21st of December. He always was like, okay, it's the shortest day. Shortest day. Starts getting longer a minute every day now. So I was like, okay, 5 days, 5 minutes. Okay. I would have been called a moon worshiper. Oh, moon, my friend, Thank you for always being there. A thin bone shoulder, shadowed circle, nearly closed eyelid. You offer comfort when comfort is needed. Through cloud cover, marine layer, you always come through. Cradle me in your thin arms. Cleanse me in the pond of your full self to birth light waiting on darkness. I have cried on your shoulders many times, your mirror embracing all of me. Thank you for your enduring friendship, your beauty through oak, redwood, and cedar, your midnight gleam off any river, your snowy grin. Oh, moon, you could never be my lover. Not that I don't ache for your white bone presence. And though you lift and release me with your rising and receding, such intimacy with whom I have prayed to would undress skin, flesh, and bone, my marrow too naked to distinguish itself from you, my friend, fleck of gold, pocked granite. Could you get me some water? Oh, thank you. I'm going to finish with a rather long poem. So I'm going to ask you to kind of like, oh, sorry. Dwayne accommodated me, beat you to the punch. Thank you both. Thank you both. Before I do that, I wanted to read something that was kind of new. I went through a period where I was in a state of deep grief from family loss, and I was afraid that I couldn't write anymore. But then I found stuff, and it's like, no, it's okay. But there's things that need work. But I've been told you're not supposed to read things that you're not sure if they're finished or not. But I'm rather unconventional, and so if I read something that's not finished, then that helps me finish it. So I don't know if that's the case here. Who denies who in the end of it all? To what end? Whose end of it all? And who accepts what or who? Who's who of what? And who denies the end to accept what or whatever, however, therever, after the end of denial? Who no one accepts of what is denied, accepted to the what of the end? Does progress beget destruction? Destruction beget progress? Progress beget progress? Destruction beget destruction? The moon in between? Crows and seagulls, leftovers in between? The seawall doesn't care about any of it. The barge coming in, moon pulling the tide, who's tugging on who, wind pushing river's surface up current against winter's current. My heart is more than an ocean, pumping circles. Okay, now, thank you. Now I'm gonna finish with a long poem, like I said. And sometimes when you're writing, you start writing, and you keep writing, and hopefully you keep writing. Well, sometimes you start writing, and you keep writing, and then it's like, okay, gee, this is kind of going on. Well, this poem could keep going on, but I had to stop. But every once in a while, I'll go, oh, I should have put that in there. I should have put that. I saw Toni Morrison over on Nob Hill years ago. And she was saying, sometimes she would read something and she goes, it's 25 years old. And then she'd go, oh, I should have put a comma right there. We stand. On the sound of flapping clipper ships, we stand. In the first lapping of the building wave, we stand. In the destructive print of the first step taken by foreign feet, we stand. In the reverberating motion of Ponce de Leon, Cortez, and De Soto, we stand. In the determination of Coronado's conquistadors, we stand. From beneath the pressure of religious leaders, we stand. With the corn, beans, squash, and meat brought to Plymouth, we stand. With the introduction of smallpox, we stand. In a circle around the sharpened crown, we stand. On the ship carrying us to be traded for better slaves, we stand. In the fury of King Philip's war, we stand. In the aftermath of the Pequot massacre called Thanksgiving, we stand. In the bounty placed on his scalp, we stand. In the stiff fold of the Jesuit's robe, we stand. Within the cold walls of the War Department, we stand. On the El Camino Real and the grass of the Presidio, we stand. In defiance of Thomas Jefferson to exterminate, we stand. In the shadow of St. Clair's defeat, we stand. On the foundation of the agency and outside the fort walls, we stand. On either sides of the St. Lawrence, Ohio, Mississippi, we stand. In the rattling name of Gatlin, we stand. On the shores of Huron, Superior, Erie, Ontario, and Michigan, we stand. On the spine of the Great Divide, we stand. On the broken words of 500 treaties, we stand. On the crooked shoulders of Shivington, Sherman, and Jackson, we stand. With Crazy Horse, Red Cloud, and Pontiac, we stand. With the wind of Wounded Knee, we stand. With the enduring of Bison, we stand. Through the stampede of the Sooners, we stand. On the sharp edge of Obsidian, we stand. In the red stain of Sand Creek, we stand. With Captain Jack, Geronimo, and Chief Joseph, we stand. In the echoing clang of the mission bell, we stand. In the ink of every congressional act, we stand. On the flecks of the vanishing bald eagle, we stand. Within the shine of the Black Hills, we stand. At the edge of the Rio Grande, Colorado, Feather, and Yuba, we stand. In the tainted glimmer of the gold rush, we stand. In the intention of federal intervention on behalf of Indians, we stand. Within the breath of every commissioner on Indian affairs, we stand. Within and without the walls of the Interior Department, we stand. Beyond the muddy trails of tears and Nome Cult, we stand. In blood frozen in historical snow, we stand. On the top of the Statue of Liberty and Mount Rushmore, we stand. In the silhouette of the Ghost Dance, we stand. On the warped words of every executive order, we stand. On the Indian Removal and Dawes Act, we stand. In the hands of Anna May, we stand. On the rocky cliffs of Alcatraz, we stand. Within the gills of Salmon's struggle, we stand. On the tilted steps of the BIA, we stand. On either side of the Sierra, we stand. On the pavement of Hoover and Orville Dam, we stand. With the memory of Richard Oakes and John Friedel, we stand. Around the fires of ancient flames, we stand. With redwood, cedar, oak, and sequoia, we stand. At the edge of the Atlantic and Pacific, we stand. On the skyline of Manhattan, we stand. At the base of the Sundance tree, we stand. Within the circled walls of the roundhouse, we stand. In the texture of acorn mush, we stand. In the stitch of willow, maple, and redbud, we stand. In the never ratified treaties of California, we stand. With every deliberate intention to be rid of us, we still stand. In the rippling sound of the cry song, we stand. Next to the Reorganization, Relocation, and Self-Determination Acts, we stand. With mule hoof tracks on our backs, we stand. With every Native woman, man incarcerated, we stand. At the edge of Tent City, we stand. At the edge of the Federal Register, we stand. With each breath taken in the sweat lodge, we stand. With prayers of thanks and hope, we stand. Within cedar and sage smoke, we stand. Beneath blue sky, sun, moon, and glimmering star wings, we stand. With the knowledge of goodness, we stand. With the blessings of each day, we stand. For the name of humanity we stand. Within rain and snow, lightning and thunder we stand. With our relatives at Standing Rock, we stand. Thank you.